everybody. Alan Barnosky here with a lesson for Acoustic Guitar Magazine. Today we're looking at the tune Old Joe Clark, and in fact, two different ways to play Old Joe Clark. The first one is a more straightforward way to play the melody. The second one is a little bit more fleshed out, a little bit more difficult to play. But what I think is really cool with these two different examples is that once you learn both of them, you can then start to mix and match them. So I'm going to take a few minutes at the end of this video to talk about that, how you can start to incorporate both versions and really kind of come up with your own arrangement of this tune. So what I'm going to do is first play through each of these examples and have a few comments about them, and then I'll get into that mixing and matching. So here we go. This is example 1. You can find this in Acoustic Guitar Magazine. If you don't have the tab, check out the link below this video. It'll take you right to it. So here we go. This is example 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so there you go. That's example 1. The way you're going to want to do this is to use all downstrokes in the picking hand. The reason for that is we're using alternating picking, where downstrokes land on downbeats, and every note in this arrangement lands on a downbeat. So that's why we're using all downstrokes here. I was playing that pretty slowly in this video, just for demonstration purposes. But I don't want you to get the idea that this is just like simply a way to learn a very easy version of the melody. This is the actual melody of the song. Old Joe Clark has lyrics. A lot of the verses are pretty funny, so you should go search some of these lyrics because they're fun to check out. But if you were going to sing this song, the version in example 1, this quarter note version, is the way you would sing the melody. Also, it's a really good one to learn because this song can get fast. People can play it really fast. So it might be hard to, squeak out that example 2, the 8th note version we're about to look at. That one might be hard. So it's really good to have this example 1 in your back pocket. Like if the tempo starts getting really fast, I can play that pretty easily just using all downstrokes. And once you get it under your fingers, I bet you might be able to play it pretty quickly too using just downstrokes. Example 2 is a bit harder to pull off at high tempo. But anyway, let's jump right in. Let's look at example 2. I'm going to go ahead and play this, and again, I'll have a few comments about it. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. right, so there you go. That's example 2. So a few things to point out here. First is that This version just builds on what you already learned from example 1. So the first measure in example 1. All right, the first measure in example 2. So all those same notes are, all the notes you hear in example 1, those all take place in example 2. It's just kind of filled out. So that's happening throughout this whole, example 1 to example 2. We're just kind of filling in the gaps with these kind of like scale lines in between the melody. Also, example 1's mostly quarter notes. Example 2 is mostly eighth notes. All right, so the way you're going to want to play example 2 is alternating picking. You're going to want to use downs and ups. So the way alternating picking works, if you've seen my other videos, you've heard me talk about it, but downstrokes on the downbeats, upstrokes in between those downbeats. So in example 1, those are all downstrokes, right? Down, 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 down. In example 2, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. All right, so if you're new to alternating picking, go find the tab, because the pick directions are in the tab along with the notation too. But yeah, there you go. That's example 2. This song is really fun. Old Joe Clark is one of my favorite tunes to play. What I'm gonna do, I know I played through example 2 pretty fast, so at the very end of the video, I'll go ahead and play through it a good bit slower. So you've got that slowed down version for example 2. Last thing I want to say here is the whole business about mixing and matching. I think this is a really great way to start to kind of dip your toes into ideas about improvisation. A lot of times people think about improv as learning licks or learning scales, or learning patterns or shapes, or things that they can use over certain chords, and that all that stuff is true. But another way you can improvise is through rhythms. You can vary the rhythms of how things, you can play quarter notes, you can play eighth notes, and just kind of play with that. So mixing and matching between example 1 and example 2, it's another way to kind of think about improvisation. So if you can take, here's one way you can do it. You can, this is a little bit of a more straightforward way. You could play the first time through the A part as example 1, and the second time through the A part as example 2. And I've practiced this. I'm not doing it on the fly. If you learn both these versions, you'll also have to practice to mix and match. Just want to throw that out there. Don't expect you can just do this on the fly. All right. So I've practiced this, and here's how it would sound if you use the first A part as example 1, and then the second A part as example 2. Switching to example 2. All right. So another way you could mess around with this is doing it by measure. So maybe your first measure is example 1, your second measure is example 2, and switch it back and forth. Here's how that would sound. Pretty cool, right? So you can think about all different ways that you might want to mix and match, maybe 2 measures at a time, maybe a half measure at a time. You can play around with it and just see what you like and see what works for you. And it really does kind of come down to, I should say, it comes down to kind of coming up with your own little way to play this song. It can be a pretty fun thing to do. So good luck with that. And that's kind of it. That's all for this video, and what I'm going to do to wrap up is play through example 2 at a slower speed. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.